The spring afternoon at Brookside Park was warm, the air buzzing with laughter from families and the squeals of children. 23. A young nanny with soft brown hair tied in a loose ponytail walked with three kids. She cared for two sisters and their younger cousin toward the playground. She wore her usual light blue nanny uniform, practical but neat with a name tag pinned above her heart. Her smile was warm, her voice gentle, and to the children, she was safety itself. But to a certain group loitering near the basketball court, she was something else entirely, an easy target. They'd seen her before, passing by daily, never making eye contact, always keeping her head down. Today, as she guided the kids toward the swings, the tallest of the group, Jason stepped forward smirking. His two friends, Cole and Ricky, followed like shadows blocking her path. "Hey, sweetheart," Jason drawled, eyes flicking over her uniform. "Nice outfit. You wearing that for us?" Anna's brows tightened, but she kept her voice even. "Please move." The kids, Cole interrupted with a fake gasp. The kids, oh no, you wouldn't want them to see their nanny. Embarrassed, his hand reached for her sleeve. Anna took a small step back, her pulse quickening. The children clung to her legs. The next moment happened too fast. Ricky darted forward, yanking the hem of her uniform dress. The sharp rip of fabric tore through the afternoon calm. Gasps rose from nearby parents and teens. Anna's cheeks burned hot, her breath caught in her throat. The torn edge flapped against her thigh, exposing far more than she wanted. Jason laughed loud and cruel, while Cole pulled at the other side. "What's the matter? Uniform's just cloth nanny girl." Anna froze, torn between shielding herself and protecting the children. Every muscle in her body screamed at her to react, but she swallowed it down. She could feel every set of eyes on her. The judgment, the whispers, the pity. Her hands trembled as she guided the children away, head bowed, ignoring the jeers. Behind her, the laughter chased her steps, burrowing deep into her chest. That night, as she tucked the children into bed at their home, she kept her smile fixed, her voice calm, never letting them know how much she was hurting. But in the privacy of her small rented room, she sat on the edge of her bed, fingers tracing the jagged rip in her uniform. The humiliation burned. But beneath it, something else stirred, something old and dangerous. Memories of her father's voice filled her mind, low and steady. "Never start a fight, Anna, but never let anyone finish you." Her father, a retired martial arts instructor, had trained her since she could walk. She had let those skills fade, thinking she'd never need them. But now, she wasn't so sure. Anna closed her eyes, inhaled deeply, and a plan began to form. The next time, she would be ready. The following morning, sunlight streamed through the thin curtains of Anna's small room. But the warmth did nothing to ease the heaviness in her chest. She sat at her modest wooden table, sipping lukewarm tea, replaying yesterday's scene in her mind like a cruel loop. The sound of fabric tearing, the children's frightened eyes, the laughter echoing across the park. She had slept poorly, waking several times, drenched in cold sweat, her fists clenched against the sheets. Each time she told herself the same thing: this couldn't happen again. When she arrived at the Hendersons' house for her shift, Mrs. Henderson noticed her quiet demeanor. "Anna, you look pale. Are you feeling unwell?" Anna forced a smile. "Just didn't sleep well. I'll be fine." Inside, she moved through the motions of breakfast, pouring cereal and juice for the children, laughing softly at their chatter, but every laugh felt rehearsed. When little Sophie wrapped her arms around her waist and said, "Don't let those bad boys scare you, Anna," the nanny's heart nearly broke. She knelt down, brushing Sophie's hair back. "They didn't scare me, sweetheart, but thank you." Later that afternoon, when her shift ended, Anna didn't go straight home. Instead, she stopped at a small martial arts studio tucked between a laundromat and a bookstore. The dusty sign read, Eagle Spirit Dojo, a place she hadn't stepped into in 5 years. The familiar scent of mat cleaner and leather gloves hit her instantly. An older man in a gray gi emerged from the back. His face softened when he saw her. Anna. My God, it's been ages. Hi, Mr. Ko, she said, managing a genuine smile for the first time in days. I need to train again. He didn't ask why, just nodded gravely and gestured toward the mats. Then let's start. Hours later, sweat clung to her skin, her limbs heavy but alive. Mr. Ko drilled her on basic stances, quick strikes, and close quarters defense. Every punch she threw made the image of Jason's smirk flash in her mind. Every kick landed with the sound of Ricky's laugh shattering in her memory. Between sets, she collapsed onto the mat, breathing hard. I'm so out of shape. Mr. Ko knelt beside her. Muscles remember. So does spirit. But tell me, what do you plan to do with this strength? Anna hesitated, then answered quietly. Protect the kids, and make sure no one ever humiliates me again. That night, she returned home with sore muscles and a fire in her chest. She studied her torn uniform, now folded neatly on her desk. Her reflection in the mirror didn't show the same timid Nanny from yesterday. It showed someone sharper, steadier. She picked up her phone and scrolled through the park's schedule, noting the busiest hours. Tomorrow afternoon, she would take the children there again. She would walk the same path. She would pass by the same basketball court. And if the bullies tried anything, they'd learn exactly what kind of nanny she was. The next day dawned crisp and clear, the kind of afternoon that brought families out to the park in droves. Anna dressed with care, slipping into the same light blue uniform the bullies had torn. Now neatly sewn back together, but still bearing faint stitch marks like scars. She tied her hair into the same ponytail, pinned her name tag in place, and looked at herself in the mirror. No one would know the difference. But she knew. The children were ecstatic when she suggested the park. Swings first? Sophie squealed. Anna smiled and nodded, her voice calm, but her heart beat with a measured, almost predatory rhythm. She tucked a small first aid kit into her tote alongside snacks and a water bottle always prepared for the kids. But today, it doubled as part of her quiet strategy. As they approached Brookside Park, Anna scanned the familiar spaces. There they were, Jason Cole and Ricky, leaning against the basketball court fence, lazily bouncing a ball between them. She could feel their eyes tracking her from the moment she stepped onto the path. The playground was busier than last time, full of parents, teenagers, and elderly couples on benches. Perfect. More witnesses. Anna helped the children onto the swings and gave them gentle pushes, her movements relaxed, but her senses razor sharp. She positioned herself between the swings and the open grass, ensuring she had clear space to move if trouble came. Jason's voice carried across the field, loud enough for everyone to hear. Well, look who's back. Thought you'd be too embarrassed to show your face, nanny girl. Anna didn't look at him yet. She adjusted Sophie's sweater, speaking softly to her, then sent the children toward the jungle gym. Stay there, she said, her tone firm but warm. Cole sauntered over. First his smirk wide and ugly. Same uniform. Guess you like giving us a free show. Anna turned her head slightly, her eyes cold. Walk away. Ricky joined him, laughing. Ooh, scary nanny. What's she gonna do, time us out? Jason followed last, towering over her. Nah, I think she owes us for last time. He reached toward the seam of her skirt. Anna didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped back just enough to lure them closer, her mind tracking every angle, every bystander's position. She caught the flicker of phone cameras in the corner of her vision. She spoke clearly, her voice steady, but carrying enough for the crowd to hear. Touch me, and you'll regret it. Jason grinned and lunged his hand, grazing the fabric, exactly what she was waiting for. Her stance shifted. Weight on the balls of her feet, shoulders loose. The hours at Eagle Spirit Dojo were humming in her muscles. The bait had been taken. Now, the moment she'd been waiting for was here. Jason's fingers barely brushed the hem of her skirt before Anna's right hand shot forward, gripping his wrist in a tight lock that wrenched his arm downward. The sudden twist forced him to bend at the waist, a sharp gasp escaping his throat. The smugness on his face shattered instantly. Before Cole or Ricky could react, Anna pivoted on her heel, using Jason's momentum to hurl him sideways. He hit the grass with a thud, the basketball rolling away. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones lifted higher, recording every second. Ricky lunged next, aiming to grab her shoulder, but Anna stepped into him, her left palm striking upward into his chin. His head snapped back. His balance faltered, and she hooked his ankle with her foot. He tumbled backward onto the dirt, coughing as the wind was knocked out of him. Cole froze for a moment, disbelief flickering in his eyes. What the hell, he started. But Anna was already moving. She closed the distance in 2 steps, seized his hoodie collar, and spun him around with a sharp pull. His feet left the ground for a brief, humiliating moment before she dropped him hard onto the grass, the air escaping his lungs in a strained wheeze. The children, safe at the jungle gym, were now wide-eyed, clutching the bars, their mouths open in awe. Parents had stopped mid-conversation, and even the teenagers, who had been smirking moments ago, now stood silent. Jason groaned, pushing himself to his knees. "You," he wheezed, clutching his arm. Anna's voice cut in calm, but cold. "I warned you." Ricky, still on the ground, tried to crawl backward, but she stepped closer, her presence towering despite her smaller frame. "Get up," she said, not as an invitation, but as a challenge. He scrambled to his feet, but the moment he raised his hands again, she sidestepped and delivered a precise front kick to his thigh. His leg buckled instantly, sending him sprawling once more. The entire scene had taken less than 20 seconds, but it felt like slow motion to everyone watching. Jason, Cole, and Ricky were no longer the loud, confident bullies who had mocked her. They were a panting, limping mess, faces flushed with a mix of pain and humiliation. Anna didn't chase them when they staggered backward. She simply stood there, her breathing, even her eyes, never leaving theirs. Jason muttered something under his breath, but his voice cracked as he glanced at the crowd. People were still filming. Every second of their downfall was now in strangers' hands. Finally, Jason grabbed Ricky by the arm, and Cole hobbled after them. They didn't run, but they didn't look back either. Anna turned, walking calmly toward the jungle gym. The children ran to her, clinging to her legs. She knelt, brushing Sophie's hair back. "It's okay," she said softly. "They won't bother us again." From the benches, a mother called out, "Good for you." Others nodded in approval, murmuring among themselves. But Anna didn't bask in it. She simply took the children's hands and led them to the swings again, as if the confrontation had been just another chore to handle. The park felt different now, safer. The air in the park seemed lighter, the tense undercurrent gone. Still, Anna kept a watchful eye as the children giggled on the swings, their earlier fear replaced with excitement. From the corner of her vision, she could see a few parents lowering their phones, smiling in quiet admiration. She didn't speak of what happened, didn't brag, didn't linger in the spotlight. That wasn't her way, but she felt it. Her dignity stolen and torn days ago, now firmly restored. Jason, Cole, and Ricky had slunk off toward the parking lot. Even from a distance, their body language screamed defeat. Cole rubbed his back. Ricky limped, and Jason cradled his wrist. A group of teenagers followed them with mocking laughter, some replaying the fresh videos already circulating on their phones. The humiliation they had so eagerly dished out was now their own to carry. Anna remained focused on the children, helping Sophie with the slide, tying Timmy's shoelaces, and making sure little Emma's jacket was zipped. Her hands were steady, her movements calm, but her ears caught snippets of conversation from nearby. That was incredible. She handled them better than the cops would have. I'd want her watching my kids. It wasn't pride she felt, but something deeper. A quiet satisfaction that came from taking back control. The laughter that had haunted her the night of the attack no longer echoed in her mind. When it was time to leave, the children walked beside her, chattering about ice cream. Sophie suddenly looked up and asked Anna, "Were you scared?" Anna smiled, meeting her eyes. "A little. But sometimes, being brave is doing what's right, even when you're scared." The walk back through the park was different now. People nodded at her, some offering a small smile or a respectful glance. No one saw her as just the quiet nanny anymore. At the Hendersons' front door, Mrs. Henderson welcomed them in. And though Anna didn't mention the incident, the subtle change in the children's excitement told the story for her. They weren't just proud, they felt safe. Later that night, alone in her room, Anna hung her uniform neatly in the closet. The stitches in the fabric caught the lamplight, a reminder of what had happened and how she had answered it. She sat on the bed, lacing her fingers together, exhaling a slow, steady breath. She hadn't sought revenge for revenge's sake. She had acted to protect herself and the children, to show that no one could strip her dignity without a fight. And in doing so, she had learned something important, that strength isn't just in the body, but in refusing to be defined by your worst moments. Across town, 3 bruised and battered bullies sat nursing their wounds, and their pride no doubt replaying the humiliation in their minds. For Anna, the matter was done. She didn't need them to apologize. She didn't need them to admit defeat. They already had. Life has a way of testing the limits of our patience, dignity, and courage. For Anna, the attack in the park could have been a moment that defined her as a victim forever. Instead, she chose to face her fear, reclaim her strength, and protect not only herself, but also the ones who depended on her. The lesson is simple, but powerful. When someone crosses the line, you have the right and the responsibility to stand up for yourself. Self-defense is not about seeking violence, but about setting unshakable boundaries. And courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. Those who try to strip you of respect often do so because they believe you won't fight back. Prove them wrong once, and they'll think twice before trying again. Strength, when guided by self-control, commands a respect that words alone never can.